Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another excellent installment here from Transformation Greatness, along with SBN, the Small Business Network podcast. And tonight, folks, we have a very special guest that is gracing our show tonight. So if I were you and you're just packing on in, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. This is going to be for episode 364. And as you're getting all comfortable and just relaxing, I know you had a long day, but this is going to be fun here. Do us a favor, if you will. If you catch this on the live, put in hashtag live. Let us know exactly where you're tuning in from. And if you should be happy to catch this on a replay because we get it, it's a Thursday. You might be attending to other manners, but no excuses. Click on hashtag replay. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And most importantly, what were some of the key takeaways that you have gotten from this podcast? So, with no further ado, we have here a young lady to my right. And she is someone through the power of networking. I was very impressed as far as with her profile. I see that she's a woman of many hats, but more importantly, she is a prophetess. And I've heard many great things about her. And guys, hold on to your hats. Ladies, hold on to your wigs because I believe this is going to be something exciting, but more importantly, an exclusive. And you heard it second because she was interviewed by one of my fellow colleagues, so I can't take the credit. So, with no further ado, coming here to the stage, we have the one and only, the prophetess Monique Duell. Please welcome her onto the podcast. Hello, prophetess. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I really can't see the comments per se, but guys, do me a favor because if you know me, I love this to be interactive. If you have any questions for the prophetess, please feel free to ask, take notes, and again, hold on to your hats, gents, and hold on to your wigs, ladies. So let's go ahead and begin, shall we? Prophetess, for the listening audience, can you tell us a little bit more of who you are and exactly what you do in this space?
I am Prophetess Monique Duell, and I am the founder of Disability LLC here in Prince George's County, Maryland. Think of me as your CMP telephone book. Y'all remember the CMP telephone book from back in the day? Well, I'm the Maryland version. I help special needs families and loved ones get services and things of that nature. Help their loved ones and family members live their best life and network and all those kinds of things. I pretty much provide the help that I didn't get when my son was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. So, you know what they say, if you don't see it, create it. And so that's what I did. I'm an author, podcaster, having a moment with Moni radio show on the HOD radio network. I do a little bit of everything. So I really do. I do a little bit of everything. Special needs mom times two, caregiver, all of that stuff. All of it, a little bit of this and that.
Wow. So, you know what? I'm thinking of a term here, and it's a very exclusive one. It's one that I normally don't give to a lot of women, but I'm thinking of you more like Superwoman. So, my question is this: like, first of all, okay, because you mentioned a lot, right? You mentioned as far as
Right.
you being a podcaster, radio host, caregiver. I mean, you wear many different hats, author. How are you able to do all this in one single bound? How?
The grace of God. That's all I can tell you. I Nobody knew who I was until the books and stuff started. I was quiet in my corner. I'm one of the hiders. I'm the one that knows how to do a lot but won't tell you. You have to literally pull it out of me because I'm like, it comes with responsibility. Once people know you know how to do stuff, they expect you to automatically, do it and be it. And I was like, nope, I don't want to do all that until I'm ready. And so I was a hider, tall as I am. I'm a little bit over 6 feet, hiding and stuff. And the one, it started from church. My grandmother used to take me to church, and I love to sing in the choir. I've been in ministry all my life, if you will, not officially ordained or anything, but didn't even know that that's what God was preparing me for this moment. And so I hid in the choir, served communion, did all that stuff. I was fine. I was just Monique, and I was fine with that until life happened, and we're gonna get into the rest of that. And so here we are.
Interesting. We have about four people in attendance, and again, guys, I can't see the comments per se. I can't really see who's on, but we want to thank you first and foremost for being a part of us here at Transformation Greatness, along with SBN, the Small Business Network podcast. This is episode 364 with Superwoman Prophetess Monique Duell. Let's jump into the backstory here because you was touching on that a little bit. You said as far as that you were in the choir and by your own admission that you were a hider, right?
Hmm.
Tell us more of the backstory. How did all this come about? Because you was about to get into it, but then you kind of paused. So let's jump in.
Yeah, because I was trying to wait for the cue. I'm trying. This your show, so I wasn't trying to go too fast, follow your lead. But yeah, I grew up in the choir and things like that. Sung in a group or two as one of the singers and things like that. Had the opportunity to back up Dorothy Norwood. Y'all know who Dorothy Norwood is. To get what an honor to be able to sing with a caravan. And all that kind of stuff. And I grew up, of course, got married, had my first child, and by the time all of that happened, that's when the real story started. My mom was sick and she had had a stroke, and during that time, I was pregnant with my second son who has the cerebral palsy, and I started bleeding, and that was about month three. And so from that point to having Jeremiah at 7 months pregnant, which is way too early, he was 2 pounds and 1 ounce. Like I said, taking care of my mom who had her first heart attack or stroke, I believe it was, and being a newlywed with a toddler, it was a lot. It was already a lot
Mm,
going on back then. Unfortunately, due to domestic violence, the marriage did not survive. And so I did what any mother would do. I got my kids out of that environment, that's pretty much where the first book started.
mm,
um, I was not going to write a book. I was invited on a show to talk about handling special needs child by a gentleman. And before we could air the show, he decided that he wanted to have phone sex with me, and I did not cooperate. And so, needless to say, the show got canned. Yeah, exactly. And I had written all this material for the show, and I was like, okay, Lord, what am I going to do with all this material? And that's when How Do I Handle a Special Needs Child was born. And the rest is literally history. After that, I decided to write about my life story as I'm, married with a special needs child as a toddler, escaping domestic violence, being in a homeless shelter for 3 months, living on the system. I've been on food stamps and Section 8, did all that. And God still kept me out of all of those things. I'm telling you, it was the grace of God. It was not me. I remember being suicidal and saying, God, no, I'm not gonna be no single mother. I didn't sign up for this. Not with a special needs kid. I didn't see the purpose. I was like, I don't want to live and I'm not gonna leave my kids here to suffer. But again, God always has a ram in the bush, and I thank God for the relationship that I had with him. Because had I not had it, you wouldn't know who I am at this
mm,
point. So more books came after that. Grief is a Gangster, um, Caregiver CPR for the caregivers to prevent. We're talking about how to prevent burnout and what to do if you find yourself there, the symptoms that you may not be aware of.
mm,
And Jeremiah the Jackrabbit is my children's book. I turn my son into a superhero. He's a forest animal in a wheelchair that people thinks is goofy, and not too important. So they tease and bully him until he does something that nobody expects. And so all of these things, all of that led to this right here. And so
wow.
that's
Wow.
how I got here. That's the short version.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm looking forward to unpacking this a bit more, but I do want to just
Yeah.
acknowledge the listener audience. So we have here Commissioner Dr. James McConnell. Welcome, welcome, welcome. He said, we are excited to hear from you. He,
Hi.
he says here, Superwoman is exactly 100%. We should talk with Miss Monique about the SBN. And we have our partner here, which, by the way, she's going to be a part of our speaker expo that's coming up in April. Cynthia Mann, she said, grief is a
Okay.
gangster. I want to ask you something, right? Because as I listened to your story, I came down. a similar road. And when you are about to write your first book that you mentioned, I know as far as for myself, it was like, I felt a lot of resistance because it was more so, well, who would want to read it, right? Why would they even want to listen to me? I mean, I'm just a kid coming out of projects, right? It's like basically my story will almost seem normal, right? You know, being raised in poverty, had escaped crime, drugs, domestic violence, all that stuff. Who would want to listen to me, right? I don't have the connections. I don't know the Les Browns. I don't know Tony Robbins. Why would anybody want to listen to me? And I know it was a lot of resistance on towards that, but my heart was just, it's something in my spirit, it just compelled me just to go ahead and write that book. You get me? So my question to you is this, is that I'm pretty sure that when you wrote that first book, you just didn't write it just automatically. I'm pretty sure it had to have been some kind of resistance. Am I correct?
No, because the first book wasn't a book, it was a radio presentation. Remember, I was saying that that was the material for the show I was supposed to have been on, and I just went and published it. So, no, it wasn't any resistance because I was talking about how to deal with my son or how to deal with your special needs child emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So, no, I didn't go through the resistance phase and all that stuff until the Lord told me to do Disability LLC and write Grief as a Gangster and all that. I was like, nah.
And why?
I'm not trying to do that.
And why? I'm just curious.
I
Why
was
would you
like,
go to
God,
this?
you've given me enough responsibility already with my son who can't walk, still in diapers. I have to do everything for him that you do for you. All of that. I'm pretty much his eyes, ears, hands, feet. I figured that that was my ministry all by itself, and I was done.
Okay.
I was like, okay, God, you gave me a plight already. And so
Mm.
you want me to go talk to these parents about stuff that I absolutely hate. I hate cerebral palsy, but I love my son.
Right.
What you want me to tell him? What you want me to tell him? That I can't stand the fact that my kid got cerebral palsy? Or you want me to tell him that sometimes I don't know if I believe you or not because I pray for stuff and you don't give it to me the way I see it? He's like, yeah, be
Mm.
transparent. Tell him.
Wow.
Tell him that you have feelings and emotions and how get you through these feelings and emotions. There are other people who are going through the same thing as you, who sometimes shake a fist at me because I don't answer fast as they want. They
Mhm.
don't see the glory coming out of it that when I bring them through trials and tribulations. Yes, go tell them that. And I'm like, no.
Right.
So I was like, no for a good little while
Right.
until till the fateful day came when he told me to write Grief is a Gangster. My grandmother died first. And the day of her burial, my sister died. So I am on my
Wow.
way to the cemetery to inter my grandmother who raised me,
Right.
and I get the call from her father that she passed. And
Wow.
at the time, my niece was 15 months old. She was a baby. She don't even, And so
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like,
Wow.
grief is a gangster. You know what I mean? I just sat there
Mm.
one day lost, and it was like eureka. The light bulb went off. It was like, that's it. And I'm sitting there
Mm.
typing and crying. And like, why am I sitting here typing and crying? I'm supposed to be resting, trying to process. And God was
Correct.
like, yeah, you are. You're going to process right through this book.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I wrote until I felt the release. And I was like, sat there for a minute and I said, I don't want to do all that because then that means I got to talk about something that hurts. I'm like, this hurts. How am I supposed to talk about this, and let people know how horrible this feels,
Right.
and how am I supposed to tell them that you're still a good God and I don't have my grandmother or my sister
Wow.
and
Wow.
that's short, and stuff like that. I'm like, Lord, I don't know where I am with you at this point. He was like, you're where you supposed to be. And I was
Mm.
like, whoa,
Mm.
okay. And so I didn't publish it immediately. It took me a minute after
Mhm.
I got through, I guess, what I would consider the hardest part of I knew we knew my grandmother was going. God prepared us for that. No
Right.
surprise there.
Correct.
She was almost 90.
Right.
But my sister wasn't even 30. And
Wow.
I was just like, God, why? I just had this knockout drag out with God. I'm like, God, I need an explanation. Not that it's going to soothe or reverse what happened, but I need an explanation because this pain is unbearable. I raised my sister basically, so I'm like, if this is what this like to lose a kid, I don't wish that on nobody. And so
Mm.
I wrestled with the book. I stared at it, and one fine day I was like, God, maybe you don't want me to write the book. Maybe I just thought this stuff up and I'm tripping. I
Mhm.
kid you not, a commercial came on TV and it said, "Are you tired of grieving?" Are you
Mm.
tired of being bullied by grief? I'm like, oh my God, that's what's in my book. And it was like, okay, God, I hear you. I surrender. So I released the book. I
Wow.
released that book, and at the same time, I think Jeremiah the Jackrabbit came out simultaneously after that. And Jeremiah the Jackrabbit was a poem that I wrote almost 20 years ago and stuck it in my high school notebook and left it there.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Eh,
That is amazing. That is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, look, we're just getting started, and this is already
Yeah,
getting good. Here at Transformation Greatness and the SBN, the Small Business Network podcast. Welcome to episode 364 with Superwoman Prophetess Monique Duell. And man, she just lays, listen, like, all I can say is wow. And I'm glad that you're very transparent because just like you mentioned, there's a lot of individuals that has like a similar path, but yet they may not have the words or how to express themselves or how to be articulate about it. I know as far as when I was going through and what I was going through, it was very hard for me to even articulate on what I was going through, right? Like the homelessness, right? The abuse,
right.
the mentally, the not even the physical, right? It was more the mental, the psychological, and the spiritual, and just being
Yeah,
broken in all them facets, right? From basically being homeless and really just being out there. And it's like, okay, God, like, I don't understand or what are you doing? And when you talked about having that conversation with God and going back and forth, I can agree with that because there was many times I'd be like, you know what, God, like, I don't like you, man. Like, I can
right.
sense you, like almost like not cursing at him like, profanity wise, but like, come on, like, what's up?
What
Like,
are
what's
you
going
doing?
on? And it's just like, and he's having a conversation with me and telling me, like, listen, this is what I have in store for you. I'm going to be giving you these gifts because, by the way, of me being a speaker, I've supposed to been doing this a long time ago. This was already
Right,
prophesied, but I resisted all the way through because I just couldn't see it, right? I just
right,
couldn't see
right.
it. So I totally resonate, understand with you going back and forth. But isn't it funny on how the way, no matter what, that God has his way. And when we just say, okay, God, I give up. I surrender.
Yep,
Like, oh, okay, if you want me to do this, fine, but you gotta give me the strength and the ability to do so because I don't have a clue. That's that's all that he asked for. And say, that's what I've been waiting for all this time. Just get
yeah,
out the way and let me move and do exactly on what I tell you. And you know what? It has taken me to places and levels in which I came and phantom and dream of. But that's either here or there. Let's go ahead and jump in here as far as with you being a radio host. I want you to talk more about that.
Well, I have a podcast that's on Spotify, and the founder of Hard Radio reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I like what you're doing. I like the ministry with, the special needs families and things like that. That's a total different take that I never even, thought of it that way and stuff. Would you like, to be on our network?" And I was like, wow. Okay. And so I think I was already maybe 50 episodes in on my Spotify, and then
Okay.
I I decided to say why not? Because I'm not on camera like this. I get to sit behind my microphone and tell it like a TI is. Okay, let's do it.
Right. Right.
And it has been phenomenal. I'm kind of on break right now because I'm in school,
Okay.
but I already have over 100 episodes, so there's plenty for people to catch up on. It just started out as me venting
Mm,
and having that safe space to say, "Hey, I hate what's going on right now. I don't know why God has me in this place. I'm hurting, and I realize there are things that I need to heal from the failed marriage and childhood traumas and things like that. But we're gonna get through it. And it went from that to God literally turning it into a ministry. So I talk like I'm talking now. God will drop a scripture, a song, or something, or maybe a word or phrase. We go in that thing, and then when God is finished, I'm done. I invite people to become followers of Christ and get saved. I pray for people at the end, and I'm out. And that's the way it's been. God totally turned that thing from me whining and crying and being, angry and confused to being empowered and empowering others. I've had people to inbox me and say, "Thank you. You saved me from suicide." You know how monumental that is?
I do. I
Oh
do.
man, it took my breath away to read that from a special needs parent who have twins who had a disability. I mean, you just never know where your yes is going to take you. Like you said, when you give God a real yes, baby, He is going to take you where no man has gone before. I'm so serious because you just don't know. There's people who are assigned to you. There are people who are assigned to me. They're waiting to hear what I have to say. They're waiting to hear what you have to say. They're waiting for your books and your business and your products or whatever. Stop playing and let's go.
Mm, That was powerful. I want to
Let's
address that.
go.
I want to address that, but before I do, I always like to, as I mentioned, um, the people that I interview, ladies and gentlemen, very interactive. And I would love for the audience, if you guys that are watching, to be interactive as well. If you have any questions for Prophetess Monique, please feel free to ask because she just dropped a great one. And I love as far as on what Cynthia Mann has mentioned. She said, taking the lemons and making lemonade amazing, incredible story. And there are people who are assigned to you. That is so 1,000% accurate and true. And I love how the way you framed that because that was one of the things that helped me break out my shell, if you will, right? And really made me understand that when I do these episodes, it's not about me. When I do live streams, it's not about me. When I connect with
Right.
other individuals, regardless on what it is, right? It can be towards obviously business, TV, radio, coaching, other different things that I do, which is fine, but it's not about me. It's all about serving the people that God has assigned for me or my
Yeah.
tribe, and likewise for you. So, folks, what Prophetess Monique is saying in a nutshell is this: there are people that are out there waiting on you. But
Mm-hmm.
if you keep playing small, if you keep doubting yourself and allowing the self limitations to creep in, then those individuals is going to forever be lost, forever be in the shadows, or they just might go with someone else, get the training and help in which that they need, and not be
Mm-hmm.
100% satisfied and be resentful at you because you didn't take the courage to say yes and answer your calling or assignment. Is that correct, Prophetess Monique, or
Absolutely.
did I misspeak?
Listen, if you don't do it, God will assign somebody else. Now, you don't want him to do that because at this point, that means that what he has tasked your hands to do, now he has to reassign and change the trajectory of the whole thing. And because he's God, he could do that. But it would just make sense for you not to have God to do all that and just say, yes, you're literally probably doing it anyway. It's just that for some of us, we don't want the limelight and all this we don't want people to gravitate towards us and
Right.
stuff like that because it comes with a level of accountability that we're not willing to do yet. That's all it is. We don't want to be held accountable. We don't want to, for people to pull our coattail. We're not quite doing what we're supposed to do or saying things that or we have a perfectionist complex. Either way, you need healing so that you can do what God has called you to do because it's in you. It was already there before your mother and father got together. It was
Hmm.
there. And God is not changing his mind or taking it back. However, you can force his hand to redo some things, but your gifts and your callings are without repentance. They're not going nowhere just because you don't do them.
Come on
It's
now.
not a use or lose thing with God. It's there. You're his child. You'll be his child all the way to hell. You're gonna do what he called you to do. You're gonna do what he called you to do and please him. It's your choice. I mean, we have a choice, but we ain't got options.
Mm, that was powerful. That was powerful. Let me ask you this, Prophets, because I love how the way you speak. How many speaking events that you actually have done? Have you been to Japan or Mexico or Cucamonga and spoke? And tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. I know. Tell the
No,
truth.
I
Tell the
haven't.
truth.
You want to know something? I have not been out of my house to go to these places. However, I have been on live stream for London and um, wherever London streamed at, and China, I think it was China, and Soviet Union or something. I have followers on my podcast who live in third world countries, believe it or not. And I was so shocked at that. So I have not physically traveled as of yet. Uh, Pastor Gina and I was talking about that.
Mm.
Going to the islands possibly with her. So that's exciting if the Lord wills.
Okay.
Everybody thinks I've gone everywhere. I literally haven't. I've just been kind of around the DMV, sitting at my book tables and understand when you come to my book table, if God tells me to pray for you, I'm gonna pray for you. If he tells me to
Okay.
give you a word, I'm gonna give you one.
Absolutely.
So you thinking you just coming to buy a book and chop it up with me? The Holy Spirit is constantly talking while you talking and chopping it up. And whatever he tell me to do, we gonna do, and we gonna have a good day. So that's pretty much the gist of what I've been doing. I would love to travel. I just not have not been invited yet. I'm gonna say it
Yeah.
like that, or had the opportunity to travel outside of Maryland, in DC yet.
Well, the beautiful thing is in this space of social media and with technology, a person can really build their career, their speaking career primarily by just being virtually. And that is like such a huge advantage. And it is absolutely amazing. But I want you to go now, if you will, Prophetess, and talk about founder of Disability LLC. How was it created? And what is your long-term vision with your company?
This ability was sat on as usual. Like I said, it was. I wrote all the things down, the mission statement and all that. Jeremiah was maybe 10. He's
Mm.
24 now. I just wrote it down thinking, maybe I'll do a nonprofit, maybe not. And because I got burnt out and I just, like I said, I was angry, with God, and I couldn't figure out why did I have to go through this way to get to this point. Protesting, running, somewhat. You know how we do. It's the cycle. We
I do.
start doing a little bit. Then
Yep.
when God say, okay, we want you to do that, we
Yep.
back up and go, no,
Yep.
maybe not. And then
Yep.
once we do that, we go, oh, okay, God, you was there all the time. And then he
Hmm.
give us something bigger, and we go, nope, I ain't
Hmm.
say all that. I ain't sign up for all that. Then we just, that's the way it was for me. I had it, and after my sister, like I said, after my grandmother, my sister passed, I was making room in my closet for some of their things, and my notebook fell out, and that fell out. The paper that had the whole write up, the mission statement, and all of that, and I was like, maybe it is time. And so after I settled my sister's affairs and things like that, I could hear her saying, "Girl, if you don't go ahead," because she loved Jeremiah Jackrabbit. She thought the book was the cutest thing. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to release Jeremiah the Jackrabbit and Disability LLC at the same time." And that's what I did. Tears, full blown tears in my eyes, and all of that. God made provisions. I'm gonna tell you something. When
Sure.
by the time I released Disability LLC, I had my life insurance agent. God sent my life insurance agent to buy every single thing I needed for my book table for my first book fair.
Wow.
I didn't spend a dime.
Wow. That's a blessing.
He
Man,
got the
that's a blessing.
tablecloth, the banner, the retractable banner, the pins, the bookmarks, all of that. This is what I mean. When you give God a yes, God is responsible for the rest. That's a whole t-shirt. When you give God your yes, God is responsible for the rest. He promised to provide. I
Absolutely.
didn't, it's not our business to micromanage God and to track him like we track an Amazon package. We're supposed to just go in faith and the things will come.
Mm.
And that's literally how that went. I did my first book table and it was a success. And just after that, I was for 2 years straight, I was all around PG County, meeting people, taking photos, talking about my books and business, speaking slightly, not too much, just
Right.
other than introducing my books and things like that.
Right.
That's ministry. I'm
Hmm.
not
Correct.
behind the pulpit, and I'm gonna say it like this: we don't need to be if that's not what God wants us. We are the church. We just go to a building to worship. So I was going around, everywhere, talking about disability and and I ended up in an advocacy program with the ARC and finished that program and all of that kind of thing. God has literally taken me from being in the background to being here with you. you know, it's a full
Mhm.
circle moment for me. I've won a few awards, and I thank God for those who see things in me that I was like, okay, if you say so, kind of thing. Because we don't. I'm saying for myself. I try not I try to make sure that I stay grounded because I'm not a
Absolutely.
self-made anything. I tell people all the
Absolutely.
time, you're not self-made nothing because you're breathing God's air. So I've realized that this that you see God has given me, Monique ain't do none of it. And so I'm appreciative of every award, every accolade, every invite because people, you're not for everybody and that's okay.
That's
That's
correct.
why we're all made different. Just like, just like food. Some people eat salad, some people don't. The salad is for somebody who is supposed to be for it. Like us, we have our assignments. So I love what I do, and I'm just amazed at how far, like I said, God has taken this what I call little itty bitty idea to love back on parents and caregivers with special needs and turned it into this. And so the long
Interesting.
term goal is I want to listen. I want to open up this big old man, I want to open up this big old respite home, because we don't
Mm,
have that here. Maryland don't
okay.
have none of that here.
Mm,
My son went to Jill's house in Virginia, and when I seen that thing, I'm like, God, listen, if you give me the blueprints and stuff like that, and the fund that I will build one of them that's so massive in Maryland and make a whole complex so the parents can have a lunch with their kids while they're staying on the campus and all that.
wow.
I have such a vision for it.
Mm,
I have such a vision. That's what I want. I want people to be able to, the special needs families and stuff, to be able to breathe and trust someone with their loved ones so they can live. It's not for the, listen, caregiving and being a parent of a special need individual is not for the faint of heart. If you don't have a relationship with God, baby, I don't know how you making it.
mm, okay.
You know, between the
Mm,
appointments, the phone calls, the meetings, the more no's than yeses,
right.
and all that kind of stuff, it comes with its own set of, things that you have to deal with whether you want to or not.
So that's almost like a
Especially in my
full-time job
case,
in itself.
it is a full-time job. If I don't get up, my son not gonna eat, he not gonna get changed, he not gonna get none of
Mm,
that because he can't do
mm,
any of it.
right. Correct. Correct.
So Monique got to keep herself together so that I can pour to Jeremiah.
Understood. Understood.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
that's my long term goal. I want to have a help center, if you will. So when people come and they bushed and suffering burnout, come on, let's get some water and some cookies and let's sit here and talk about it. I'm not gonna let
Absolutely.
you leave like that. Okay, well, if you're in a hurry, let me just give you a hug so that you know that you're not alone and that somebody cares. This is my big goal. I mean, I'm so serious. I just I I am so excited about what it's going to look like and how it's going to be. And I'm like, in God's timing, it's going to happen because He already told me that it was. So that's me. I'm a giver by nature. I have a heart for people. I've always had it. And so I want to give them what I wish somebody would have gave to me when my
Mm,
son was diagnosed 20 some years ago and they left me hanging like I was supposed to know what CP meant and what to
wow.
do. I had to go dig and research and
Wow.
build my own community. And that's what disability is all about. I am trying to build a community to let people know that guess what? Your life ain't over because your child or your loved one has a disability. Your life's
Mm,
not over. God doesn't hate you. God is not punishing you. He's not playing with your life like some narcissistic being or something. God
right.
has a purpose and a plan. If He's not changing your child or your loved one, He's changing you in this. And you have to see it that way and change your mindset, which took me a while to do. I was trapped in overcompensating and all that. That's why I wrote the book, Caregiver CPR. I lived that thing. I
Mm-hmm.
know what it's like to go on a hamster wheel every single day, being afraid that something bad is going to happen that you can't fix or can't control,
Mm,
or praying and crying out to God every day for the same thing and hoping that He give it to you, even though in the back of your mind you kind of don't believe He gonna give it to you,
right.
but you
Right.
hope that you serve Him well enough for Him to give it to you. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
You know
I
how
do.
we do when we ask God for
Right.
stuff, we get this perfectionist complex, like we gotta perform
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
get it.
Correct.
No, we don't have to perform to get it. We have to obey His instructions to get it. There's a difference. And so
Mm,
that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal for me. So when I'm gone, whatever my complex is called, it'll still be here for parents and loved ones to be able to bring, to get a break and get some respite time in and breathe and just be.
I love that. I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to know what I just heard? I just heard passion. I just heard conviction. I just heard from someone that has been down that journey and she knows as far as on what it's like. And she just wants to be in a position to serve and to serve at a very high level. And I encourage you all, if you're in the DMV area, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If
Yep.
you're
I'm in Maryland.
If you're in the DMV, the Maryland area, please reach out to Superwoman Prophetess Monique Duell because I'm telling you, if you think this is good, I can imagine as far as meeting her and talking to her in person. So, guys, if you have any connections out there, and I know I have a lot of my colleagues that's from the Northeast and the DMV area, please reach out to Prophetess Monique. Definitely, it will be well worth it. Which, speaking of which,
Amen.
because we're almost at the conclusion of this, and so far from what I'm seeing from the comments here, I mean, people are definitely loving this, and I know the replay is going to be fantastic as well. But Prophetess, how can people get a hold of you, by the way?
I am everywhere. If you Google my name, God has definitely enlarged my territory. I looked at Google and I was like, wow. I went from maybe having one book up there to you seeing page after page after page. And I'm like, wow, God. I am Monique Duell just about everywhere except for IG. I'm Miss D Rain, MSDEEREIGN. I am on Facebook. I am on X. I am on LinkedIn. I'm on Align. I think is what they call Align. I
Alignable.
can't think. Alignable. Thank you so
Right.
much. And I'm on YouTube, and that's only because my my podcast replay on there. I haven't done lives yet, y'all. Y'all pray for me. That's still an area that I'm a little sketchy about still. And those are the ways you can reach me. My books are on Amazon. You could get them there, or you can hit me up on one of those social media pages and get an autographed copy directly from me, and I will ship them to you. Feel free to reach out. I do answer every last one. Y'all come on in, introduce yourself and stuff first and stuff. Don't just be on there talking about, hey, I don't know. I'll be like, okay, what else? You know, because you get that sometimes. Y'all have some sense when y'all come in there and say hey to me. I love to connect with people and interact. I don't take it lightly that people bought my book and spent their money or took the time to read my book or listen to my podcast or even reached out to me to say, hey, girl, you doing the thing. Thank you for being you. I love it. I love all of it. It literally keeps me going because, like I said, this is not an easy thing to do, long term and things like that. You have to sacrifice a lot, for the sake of someone else. And that's what serving is. And so I
Hmm.
thank God for the strength and the grace to continue to care for my son and my brother because I have an autistic brother as well that I'm caring for y'all. So y'all pray for me. Y'all pray for me.
Servanthood, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, this is the definition of servanthood. I know I talk about this a lot, and I'm glad that I had someone like you come on the podcast show
Bless your
because
heart. Thank you.
this is what servanthood looks like, ladies and gentlemen. And when you in the act of service, you realize that it's not about you. You realize it's about reaching out to the hearts of men and women and even families. And a lot of times we can get overwhelmed, physically, emotionally, we're pouring so much into ourselves.
Mhm.
But this
Mhm.
is what it comes when you are called to do something. And I love on how the way and when what you said it that you want to leave a legacy. That was a key thing that I heard out of everything. Legacy, legacy, legacy. And I do believe, folks, that if we were to reach out to Prophetess Monique, see on how we can help. How can we be of service? That's what it's all about. Because when you're willing to do so, believe me when I tell you that, and I've seen this happen for myself, the more people that you help, it's a universal principle. It has to come back to you.
Yeah.
It just has to. If you don't believe me, go ahead and do the research. I'm going to leave it at that. Prophetess Monique, me and you have much to discuss after this. I love as far as on how the way you spoke, very charismatic. You spoke with conviction, passion. I absolutely love it. And we're definitely going to stay in contact. But now, I want you to do something for me, if you don't mind. On my podcast show, I have like a thing that I mostly do, right? I used to call it devil's advocate, but some people don't like that. I was like, okay, I had to come up with a different name. Wasn't able to think of it. But basically, what I do is this. There are individuals that's going to watch this either later on tonight, tomorrow, or in the near future, and they're going to say, wow, this was absolutely amazing. Man, it's so powerful. And I want to get to know Prophetess. I want to invite her as far as my conferences, whatever the case, right? They're absolutely going to get a ton of value. But then there's going to be individuals, and you know this, that's going to say, okay, I'm happy for her, but
Hmm.
I'm going through some things, okay? And I'm not knocking her, right? But she don't understand what I'm going through, right? I got so
Mm.
much going on with this, with that. I may have credits. My husband, he may be lousy, he ugly, or they ugly, whatever the case, right? Fill in the blanks, or I'm not a Christian. I believe in a different faith or religion. Blah 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 blah. So, for a few minutes, if you will, if you had an individual that would come to you and say, hey, prophetess, you know, I appreciate you, but I got a lot going on, and I don't think I can have a kind of vision like that. I can't speak as well as you do. I'm not a radio show host. I don't think I even got it like that because nobody in my family has ever did anything like that before in our lifetime. I would like for you to come to the camera and for a few minutes, what would you say to him or her that come upon you and would say something like that? What would you say?
I would say, listen, son or daughter, God did not ask you what you could not do. He asked you to do what you could.
Ooh.
We are not strong within ourselves. The word of the Lord says, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. You don't have it without him. And so this is why you're going through these things and these trials and tribulations. God is trying to get your attention. And until you give it to him, you're going to continue to go through things. The only difference is that when you go through it with Christ, the word says that he will bring you to a place of an expected end. So nothing in your life will be wasted because only what you do for Christ will last. I know you're angry and I know God didn't answer the way he that you thought he was going to. I know you felt like you got robbed because your mom is gone or your loved ones are gone, but understand that God has a purpose and a plan and you're a part of it because you're still here. You could be gone just like them. You could be going through much worse. You know, as the old folks say, it could have been the other way. Absolutely could have been the other way, but you're still here, breathing God's air. So, how disrespectful would it be of you to breathe somebody's air and live in their space and not be hospitable and give them what they want?
Mm,
How dare you be in the king's lair and disrespect the king?
mm.
A king should not have to ask you to do something twice. Do you know you get beheaded if you don't obey the king?
That's right.
You get beheaded, your family, any of that, they can do whatever remedy that they choose to because you chose to disobey.
Correct.
God is there waiting for you with your tears, your anger, your hate, all of it, because he already knows that it's there. It's okay to cry. It's okay to shake a fist at God. It's okay to not understand why and how and when and what. Just go to him. Go back. If you used to be tight with God, go back. Say, God, okay, I done strayed out too far. I don't even know how I got out here. I'm lost and turned out. God is still there waiting on you, and He loves you so much, He'll take you back because you have a purpose. You had one before you got here, before your mama and dad even knew that you were in the womb already or whatever. You already had one. The Bible says that He knew you, and He predestined you. And he called you before the foundation of the world. Think about the magnitude of that. The world wasn't even here yet. And you mean to tell me you knew me and you
Mm,
called me to what?
mm.
That's
Come
the
on.
kind of God we serve. I know you don't put your trust in everybody else and everybody took advantage of you. These are the choices that we've made because we didn't know who God was, and it's okay. Now that you know better, do better, but do it with God this time. And watch him take you. Listen, it doesn't matter what you can't do and your speech and all. God ain't asked you none of that. He will change all of that. The more you do what he's called you to do, he will change your speech. He will change your friends. He will change your finances. He will change your appearance and
Mm-hmm.
your mindset and your heart and your
Mm-hmm.
spirit. And when he does, woo, let me tell you, you won't even recognize you.
True. True.
God is the one who transforms. This show is called Transformation Greatness. Guess where the transformation greatness comes from? God.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And he
Correct.
uses us to help you get there. Now, he can reach down here and shake you. I don't know if you want him to do that because we'll be short.
Right.
We can't handle that much power. But God sent us together so that I can tell you you have greatness in you and you're necessary. I need whatever it is you got, whether it's gonna benefit me now or benefit me later. I need to read your book. I want to smell your cologne, your perfume, wear your t-shirts and your shoes and all that kind of stuff. I'm that person. If I know you got a talent and stuff, I will sit there and say, okay, let me see what you got and
That's right.
support you. I'm
That's
going to
right.
be the first one to push you into your destiny if I have to. I'm not going to say, oh, well, Lord, please bless them with clients. No, I'm there right now. Give me a shirt.
Right.
I want you to see that somebody is interested in who you are in Christ and what you do, and that you're not alone. We all had to go this same road. Not exactly the same way though, but we all had to go through this journey to discover what God has placed in us. And it's so much in us. We're not just we're a multifaceted creation.
Mm-hmm.
We have gifts and callings and things like that. And once we start doing those, God puts other things that we didn't even know was there.
Very true. Very true.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to start over. And if you make a mistake, be accountable and say, yeah, I did that. That was me. I screwed it up. Lord, help me and forgive me and help me to start over and do it your way this time. And he'll do that. I'm sitting here because I did that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I could do that with all of that I just shared with y'all, I know you could do it too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking here and just seeing if there's any other comments. And you know what? With that being said, Prophetess Monique, I think we're going to go ahead and land our plane, as they say. This
Yeah,
has been a very special and exclusive interview, as I mentioned earlier. From
exclusive.
Transformation Greatness in SBN, the Small Business Network podcast. This is episode 364 with Superwoman Prophetess Monique Duell, and she done dropped it. Guys, do us a favor. If you gotten value from this, please feel free to put in your comments. Please go ahead and follow Prophetess Monique on all her social media platforms. Reach out to her, let her know if this message inspired you in any way. And more importantly, go ahead and support Prophetess Monique. It's one thing to like and comment, but go another step and beyond and show her how much that you actually support and care about her. That's what I'm talking about. And that's how we do things over here with SBN, the Small Business Network. So with that being said, folks, this has been fantastic. Prophetess Monique, I thank you so much for your time. Just hang
Thank you
on
for
for a
having
bit
me. I appreciate
afterwards.
it.
Most definitely. And we're going to end this segment like we do all of our others here. If what we stated on here either motivated, transformed, or inspired at least one person, then may God be the glory, and we take no credit for absolutely none of it. Until then, you're all amazing. Be on the lookout for the Speaker Expo we're going to be having April 26th. I'm so super excited about that. We're going to have 10 powerhouse speakers for you, and it's going to be a virtual event. So if you want to be a part of the audience, please let me know. If you want to be one of the featured speakers, let me know as well. And also this Saturday, we're going to have, as far as with SBN, the Small Business Network, along with myself. the Commissioner, Dr. James McConnell, and two already exciting co-hosts. So until then, enjoy the rest of your day. By His grace and mercy, look forward to seeing you all on the next episode. Peace and love, everybody. Take care.